Yo, what's up? This is Fling with DFS Army, and we are doing a Battle Royale Week 13 first look. We're going to do an overview of the slate, hop into a Battle Royale draft, see what the field is doing, look at ADPs. How can we differentiate ourselves to get a shot at the 30K for first place? And then as a bonus, if anyone wants to stick around, I'm going to hop into a Turkey Day draft as well. So let's do it. All right, guys. So I got the game tiles pulled up over at DFS Army's domination station. So, first thing that really, stands out to me when I look at the Week 13 slate is there's not a lot of really good spots, not a lot of game environments that we really want to target. So, typically in weeks like this, what you'll see is it's going to be skinnier stacks. It's not going to be so much attacking game environments. It's going to be targeting teams. So, we see a team like Buffalo with a 25.5 point team total. We're really more so going to be looking at, how can we attack the Steelers with Buffalo players? So we're thinking Josh Allen. We're thinking maybe Josh Allen to Khalil Shakir, maybe Kincaid if he plays. If not, Dawson Knox, or maybe we just play James Cook out of this game. So, that's typically what's going to stand out to me. These 39-point team totals, 42, 41. It's pretty ugly across the board. So, we're not so much thinking of back and forth. This team could push this team. We're pretty much just thinking of picking, one player from a game, or, just maybe doing a team stack. One side romps, the other side isn't putting up much of a fight, right? So, Seattle, this is another spot, 26.2 implied team total. Maybe we're just looking to target JSN. Other than that, we're really staying off of Darnold because the other side's not going to push him enough that this is the stack that you need. So that said, maybe we get JSN in the first round. We come back around, we get Josh Allen. So now we got two pieces of two teams that we like more so. So that's probably how we're going to attack the slate. One side that really kind of does stand out to me, but I think it could be high variance, is the Los Angeles Chargers. Can they protect Justin Herbert? I'm curious to see ADPs. What is the field doing with Los Angeles Charger players this week in Battle Royale drafts? Because I can see Mason Crosby wrecking this game based on what we saw the last time the Chargers were out on the field against Tennessee. Couldn't block anybody, and Herbert can only do so much. So I'm interested to see what the field's going to do. If Justin Herbert is going to be going very high in drafts, I'm looking to fade that. I'm thinking that could fail with Mason Crosby just wrecking the game. But if the field's not on it, I'm just going to lean into the 25.2 implied team total. I think so. A lot of winning in DFS is kind of getting out of our own way. And, we're not as good as predicting game environments as we think. So that said, I like to look at what Vegas thinks and then look at what the field is doing and see if there's some possible leverage there. It's always, what is the field doing? Is that, a place where we want to go with the field, or do we want to fade that entirely? And go a completely different way? Or do we actually want to go with the field in that spot, but then here's where the field is getting it wrong in another spot? And I'm going to go against that to be able to leverage our way to the top of the leaderboard. So I'm very interested to see what the field is doing here, because, obviously I like the Buffalo side in this game and this team total. Maybe we get a Rodgers back. Maybe, this game is actually the game that you need, but it's probably the only one of the week, right? So this is obviously the most competitive game. I'm more interested in the Buffalo side, but by the end of the week, we'll see, what we get from the Pittsburgh side. The problem with Pittsburgh, we would love to play Warren or Gainwell if one or the other was out, but with both of them splitting, it's not the most ideal spot because it is a good matchup, but it's a timeshare and it's really hard to predict. Only Arthur Smith knows, what's going to happen in this backfield on any given week. I lean the Buffalo side. The other game, team rather, that really stands out, and I guess there's one game that I think is a little under the radar here with Arizona and Tampa Bay. We'll get to that in a second. But the Rams, we know how good the Rams have been this year. They've honestly been the best team in the entire league. Offensively, they've been good. Offensively, they've been elite. Defensively, they've been good. We can look at, they've been the most balanced team across the board. So defensively, they've given up the fewest points, which is just crazy. They've also, scored a lot of points. So they're top 10 in scoring, and they're giving up the least amount of points. So this is a spot against the Panthers that I like. I don't know that, we so much like Stafford because he's not going to have to do a lot. They're 10-point favorites. This speaks to being a Kyron Williams game, but also with a 27.7 implied team total. We want to get our fair share of Puka Nacua in drafts. We want to get Devontae Adams because they are going to be scoring points somehow, some way. And, I'm interested in drafting all three of those players, getting Rams in drafts. Not so much stacking, but just getting pieces from them in every draft. And then last, I would say the game environment that stands out to me that could potentially shoot out, Tampa versus Arizona. We look at both of these teams. I don't think either kind of has neither is like a juggernaut defense. They both, as far as points per game that they allow, their bottom 10 for sure. So I think this game's kind of sneaky. Specifically, if we get Bucky back in this one, Bucky's definitely in play. How much is he going to run? I probably would more so avoid that backfield, but I would go back to, Godwin and Ibuka. And come to think of it, I don't know that I really would love this game with Baker Mayfield out of it. I'm not sure that I would love the Tampa side. I probably wouldn't really play Tampa side there. I'd probably be more so looking to the Jacoby Brissett side with, Teddy's okay, I think, is a backup, but I would rather play the Jacoby Brissett side. I would love to play Michael Wilson again if he, is in that wide receiver one role if Marvin Harrison Jr. is out another game. Otherwise, yeah, I'd have some interest in Marvin Harrison Jr., ADP pending, and then obviously Trey McBride would be a good, top tight end on the slate. He's going at the end of the first round. At least he was last week. We'll see where he's going this week. But I think this could be potentially another good spot here. But we'll actually have to see, what kind of news we get on Baker Mayfield throughout the week. So let's go ahead and hop into a draft. We'll see how long this will take. I know people are drafting. I guess people are drafting Battle Royales right now too, but I know people have been drafted the Turkey. I originally planned to do the Turkey, and it's already filled. So that was a 30K to first. They already dropped the Turkey 2, so people are just really getting excited about the Turkey Day Slate. So, we'll pivot to the Battle Royale, and then we'll kind of let that marinate a little bit after it's done, see who wants to stick around and preview the Turkey Day Slate as well. So we got one person that we're waiting on. Let's see projections. Right now, it looks like the top projection on the slate is Achane. Okay, interesting. That was a spot I was going to actually mention. I like Achane. I like Waddle here going against New Orleans. Tua stack. I could see a Tua stack kind of going under the radar this week. Maybe you stack him with Waddle. Maybe you do double with Achane and Waddle against the Saints. The Saints are definitely a team that you can target. They're pretty big favorites at home. I think Achane is one of the best spots on the slate this week. And, he has a top projection. So I'm curious to see where he's going to go in drafts. We are picking third. CMC, Jonathan Taylor. Yeah, we might be able to get Achane with our first overall pick. Or JSN. I'd be good to take any of those guys right there. It is a tough matchup for Jonathan Taylor this week, so I understand, going against Tennessee Tennessee, when we look at this, they've actually been not Tennessee, Houston. They've been that's a quarter. Yeah, that's a running back. Actually, I thought there was a quarterback. Yeah, they've been, a top 10 run defense. So it is a tougher matchup for Jonathan Taylor. We'll see how this ends up going for us. Where the board falls here, but Christian McCaffrey, I get that. I like H-Han though. I think if he's got the top projection on the slate, and of course we are looking at FanDuel here, this isn't DraftKings. That's a little surprising to me. But if he has a top projection on the slate and he doesn't go first or all, oh, well, that was taken care of for me. So he went first overall. I think if CMC goes here, I would rather take JSN. Where is intramural baller going to go? Well, he took Taylor. Yeah, so if I wait, it's very interesting start to this draft. I think I'll go with Christian McCaffrey there. This game is projected to be a very windy game. I expect a lot of Christian McCaffrey, a heavy dose, especially after the interceptions that Brock Purdy threw the other night. I think they probably want to go back to more of a balanced approach, especially with the win. So I like Christian McCaffrey there, but I really don't think there was a wrong answer. JSN, Christian McCaffrey, I would have taken either of those guys. It'll be interesting to see will James Cook make it back to me? When we look at our projections, and of course this is early in the week, Bijan, we had Bijan actually ahead of CMC. I think Bijan would have been a good pick as well. And Taylor, but I disagree with that. I think CMC is in a better spot. James Cook, Breece Hall, Bucky Irving. It'll be interesting to see how much they get Bucky Irving back into the mix. I like this start here at the 1-2 turn, Bijan and Josh Allen. So like I said, we got a couple games that we really want to target. So Puka Nacua went. Do I want to take Devontae Adams? Do I want to take Kyron? Puka has been getting the early, he's kind of fallen off. There goes James Cook. He's kind of fallen off with Devontae Adams catching the touchdowns. So what do we have left on the board? Can I take Devontae? I could. I could take Kyron. Do I want to stack those two together? I think we probably want to get a wide receiver. I think that's important. That is one of the games that we identified that we want to target. Adams has been getting the touchdowns, so I don't mind him there. Drake London looks unexpected to play. Maybe we go back to Mooney. We queue him up. If he's going in the last round, the field is kind of sleeping on that, thinking Drake London's going to play. I just saw today that he's not. So I can wait on my second wide receiver. I would say Kyron if he came back to me. Other than that, what are the good matchups on the slate? Devin Neal. That's maybe I will just completely wait. I had queued him up. I think the field is kind of snoozing here because Kamara is not expected to play this week. So I could potentially get Neal, Mooney. These are some guys I can grab pretty late. Or do I want Kyron? Tough decisions. All right, I'm just going to take Kyron Williams there. We'll just bet on LA there. A little secondary stack. Maybe they will run up the score against the Panthers. And, that will be one of the spots that we'll need. We can potentially get Mooney late. We got to start thinking about who do we want at quarterback. At this point, we could probably just run our quarterback naked because we have some correlation. So maybe I get Jacoby Brissett. Tight end. Dalton Kincaid would not be a bad play if he plays. He has a chance to play this week. So what I could do is if I don't get Kincaid, and I'm probably comfortable doing that. I can plug in Kincaid later in the draft, and if I miss out on him, because if he doesn't play and I draft him, then I can set my swap rankings and I can swap to Dawson Knox because it is a good spot for the Buffalo tight ends this week. God, I don't know why I would want to take Stafford. But also, if he falls to me, I wouldn't be opposed to taking him either. Maybe I just take Tyler Warren here against Houston. It's a tough matchup for Jonathan Taylor, so maybe it's more of a passing game script, and that benefits Tyler Warren. Tough decisions here. Yeah, I think I just bet on the talent of Tyler Warren. I can get my quarterback here, either Stafford, Jacoby Brissett. I wasn't too excited. I definitely don't want to take Stafford with Kyron. I would be okay stacking him with Adams, but I just think that's low expected value. I think I'd rather just take Jacoby Brissett there, even unstacked. Or I can come back around, maybe get him with Michael Wilson. That kind of worked out for me. I wasn't really planning on taking Stafford anyway with having already taken Kyron Williams. So I got my quarterback unstacked. And then what do we got for wide receiver? Let's look at what we have for projections here. Wide receiver, Ibuka, going pretty high. Did he get picked? Yeah, he did get picked. Tet, I would be totally fine taking Tet. Tet's got a pretty good matchup. And it's looking like he actually might make it back to me. There went Devin Neal. He's one of my favorite clicks this week. This guy loading up on Josh Allen. So definitely taking that, let's just attack Pittsburgh advice or kind of mindset rather with Josh Allen. +2. You rarely see Josh Allen get there with +2 though in battle royales. So it doesn't happen often. I'll just say that. But I like this guy's build here with Puka Nacua, starting with Puka Nacua, Trey McBride, went Waddle, Ibuka, Devin Neal, Tua. So did Tua to Waddle stack and got Devin Neal, the late running back. And wow, he went with a 3 wide receiver build. Pretty rare. I think I'm going to take Tet here. Just too good of a player, too good of value on the board. I like the way this team really came together. Obviously, Christian McCaffrey, I think it's going to be a run game script. The opportunities, he's getting over 25 a game, just absurd. So I liked when we started right there with CMC. And then, went Adams and Kyron Williams. I just think attacking that Carolina secondary, that Carolina defense, they got a 27.7 implied team total. And then, I was able to get Tet on the way back, positive game script for the passing game. I expect them to be throwing a lot. So that is my correlation. Was able to run Jacoby Brissett naked. And then, we got Tyler Warren at tight end, a really strong, third, fourth tight end off the board option there. So overall, I think this was a pretty good first look lineup. Let's kind of look at the rankings, just see if there's anything that, we missed here, and how the board is going and, what is available. So obviously we started at HN, JT, CMC, JSN, Puka, Bijan, nothing out of the ordinary there. Then it went Josh Allen. Given the matchup, that's not surprising he went as early as he did. Trey McBride, like I said, top tight end off the board in any week, especially the way he's playing right now. And, maybe I kind of might have sniped that guy from stacking McBride with Jacoby Brissett. Might have sniped him there. James Cook, that's not surprising to me where he went. Again, when we look at this is either a Josh Allen or James Cook week probably for Buffalo, and you typically don't want to play those two guys together. And then, yeah, 1 and a piece of the Los Angeles Rams. That's what I said before we started the draft. I was able to secure that here. It's too early for my taste for Olave. I guess it's not a bad matchup going against the Dolphins. not a great matchup either. It's too early, especially with Tyler Shough. I would not have taken him there. And like I said, this was, a question I had. What is the field going to be doing with Justin Herbert this week? For me, this is, if Herbert and that offense is going this early, even with that 25.5 implied team total, their offensive line is so unbelievably banged up. Going against Mason Crosby, I am very concerned about this ADP for them. And I probably will not be getting to a lot of Chargers in Battle Royales this week based on that. Brock Bowers always has that upside. After McBride's gone, he's clearly the second best, specifically in this matchup against the Browns this week that Kittle has, in a game environment that's expected to be very windy. Kyren Williams, I paired him up with Devontae just because there's such a fall off, I feel like, after Kyren with the rest of the guys. Had I not taken Kyren, I would have waited and, went after Devin Neal. This is a little surprising. We don't even know that Amarian Hampton is going to play this week. They just opened the practice window. I would not be drafting him there. The offensive line is so banged up, and we don't even know if he's going to play. I just think that's now I know Homeostasis does a lot of these drafts and is one of those players that does so many of these that can just have some throwaway picks, change swap rankings, and maybe get to the guy that you need. Or maybe have Vidal ranked high enough that Vidal would be the swap. Like I said, I like the Waddle play. I think that's an underrated spot this week. Nico Collins is a good matchup. I like that play. Coming back, ETN. Yeah, ETN looked good last week. It's a good spot here against who are they playing? Tennessee. Yeah, I like that spot there. Igbuka. Listen, it's a good matchup for both of these guys, Wilson and Igbuka. Wilson, I love if Marvin Harrison Jr. is out. If he's in, then, Wilson's being overdrafted. But Igbuka, that's a good spot. The thing is just Baker Mayfield, like Teddy Bridgewater, is not as good. So if Baker Mayfield doesn't play, I don't love it. Obviously, I took Warren. I felt like he was the best tight end available. Kincaid is the other guy that, I would have gone for, but that's where I would have taken him. Would have been in the last round. This is too high for Justin Jefferson. Last week, I recommended taking him in the 6th in a draft where I saw him go. This spot, too high for me. Don't love this double stack with Herbert. Double stacks rarely win in Battle Royales. And I just think this ADP is too rich for this spot with the offensive line they have. Do love the Breece Hall play. It's a pretty good spot against Atlanta. As we saw last week, Breece Hall is a good running back that can beat tough matchups. I love the Stafford play. I probably would have stacked him up, though. Naked, I guess it's okay. I don't love this guy's draft. I'm just going to be honest. Too early on Olave. Tough matchup for Jonathan Taylor. Stafford, not without Puka or Adams. I just don't see it. And then Jalen Warren, he's in a timeshare, so I don't love that. Obviously, I liked my Jacoby Brissett pick naked because I had already had Devontae and Kyren, and then stacked him up with Tet. I believe I gave my thoughts on that. I love the Devin Neal play. Kamara's going to be out this week. I think people are sleeping on that. I like Shakir in a vacuum. I just didn't like Allen +2. And then this guy, Tua Waddle. I love that stack there. I think that's this guy's draft. I don't do 3 wide receiver drafts on Underdog, which is half PPR. But, if you're doing a lot of these, I totally get, mixing a couple of them in. But overall, if you're doing a 3 wide receiver draft, I love what this guy did here. Darnold with JSN, getting Darnold in the last round. I do love that. I like this guy's draft with the exception of the Marion Hampton pick. And then obviously Wilson is a gamble. Is MHJ going to play? Is he not going to play? I don't know. And then Pittman. Yeah, Pittman in the last round is pretty good. Let's see some guys that are maybe going under drafted here, actually, undervalued. London's not going to play. We talked about Mooney. If Brian Thomas plays this week, this is excellent value for him in a good matchup. So I'll have to look more at that. Bucky Irving, yeah, that's a good one. If he plays a good ADP, but is he going to be on a snap count? What's that going to look like? Love Brenton Strange this week. He'll be definitely make my sheet for DFS Army VIPs. I mean, anytime he's on the field, Trevor Lawrence loves to target him. It's a pretty good spot with Judkins. I don't know that he's going to play this week. Did he have a concussion last week? What was he ruled out from? Okay, never mind. So he left the game and then returned. So yeah, Judkins, that's a good spot, I think. I would be out on Brock Purdy in that game. Trevor Lawrence, I think, yeah, if you get Brian Thomas Jr. or Brenton Strange, I think that's a good stacking option. Kenneth Walker, decent spot if he's a full go. Little banged up last week. I could see DK Metcalf against the Buffalo defense. Jacoby Myers, I would be in on Jacoby Myers if Brian Thomas Jr. is out again. Mechie has been Mechie and DK. So DK with Ridley out has been the guy. Decent spot versus Jacksonville. And then Mechie has kind of looked like the guy for the Jets. So yeah, I would be in on Mechie as well. If we don't get Marion Hampton back this week, Kamani Vidal would be a good play in the last round as pretty big favorites. So that's the kind of thing where it's like, yeah, I don't want Herbert. I don't want, McConkey, any of those guys at their ADP without offensive line. But with Vidal at cost, I would definitely consider that. So that is going to wrap it up for the Battle Royale first look. Let's do a little Turkey Day too. For anyone who wants to stick around for one of these, we'll preview the slate. Now, this is going to be a much different format. With this, I mean, there's only 4 people, right? And there's 6 rounds. So there's 2 less people. I will say this. We'll look at the Turkey Day slate. I'll pull this up real quick. This is, of course, something DFS Army VIPs have our domination station, which we use to mass multi-enter large tournaments, but I also use it for these Battle Royale drafts. I also use it for single entry, just sorting through here, projections, ownership, kind of helping put together a lineup, running optimals. And, we use this for not just NFL, but for all sports, NFL, NBA, NHL. And we have a Black Friday special going right now. It's code BF 2025 for 25% off for every month, whether you use an NHL, NBA. Our VIP package, which is essentially Core 4 sports, and also NFL monthly. So you get you 25% off if you want to get access to all the tools that we have, the matchup sheet that shows, target share, snap share, all that. The domination station we use to attack most mass multi-entry tournaments. And the cheat sheet, including Battle Royales, all that BF 2025 for 25% off for our Black Friday special. So what to do here, guys? What to do? It went Gibbs and Chase first. I think I'm going to take Derrick Henry. So when we look back at this, I know I went off on a little promotion there, but there's 3 games and they're all good. So I think you just kind of have to decide which game you really want to go heavy on for this Turkey Day slate. Personally, I do like these 2 games a little better than the Green Bay Detroit game because Green Bay has such a good defense. Because it is a divisional matchup, I just think that game could very much hit the under. I want to get Derrick Henry against the worst defense in the league against the run, Cincinnati. So that's why I went Derrick Henry in my first pick. So this guy I'm going to run Josh Jacobs. I'm going to come back around. I'm going to get Rashee Rice. Rashee Rice is one of my favorite plays on the slate. I'm going to stack him up with Patrick Mahomes. If Mahomes makes it back to me, that is who I will be stacking him with. I think Mahomes is also the top play on the slate. And I don't want to miss out. So I'm just going to stack that up right now. I got Mahomes. I got Rashee Rice. That is Mahomes. Let's see. Top projection on the slate. According to our projections, a prop projection, this is something else that the DFS Army Domination Station has, is the prop projections. Lamar has a slightly higher prop than Mahomes, but the way I am playing this is that it's going to be a Derrick Henry game against the worst run defense in the league. So give me Mahomes going against the Cowboys, which have been a team to target. I got Mahomes. I got Rice. Who do I want to get? I'll get my tight end. I'll stack him up with Kelsey. So Mahomes double with Kelsey. Now, I'm also going to have to find a way to differentiate myself here. Pacheco, I think the field is kind of sleeping that Pacheco is going to be in this game. Do I want to do – I typically always do double running back, but I'm kind of thinking maybe I don't on this slate as a way to get different. I'm going to get weird with it. I never do this. But I really think this is a just sucky week. And in this contest, being only 3 games, it is so much harder to get different. So I'm going to go double tight end in this spot. And then who do I want for my last wide receiver? Do I want Worthy? I don't know that I want a Mahomes triple stack. I think I'm going to take Romeo Doubs there. So I went with one running back. Mahomes, double stack Rashee Rice, Travis Kelce, Gesicki. The Bengals, anytime that Jamar Chase or T. Higgins are out, they heavily target Gesicki. So I like that spot for Gesicki. It should be unique. And then I got Romeo Doubs against Detroit. Detroit has not been very good defensively as of late, as we saw last week with Jameis Winston lighting them up. So I think Dobbs was the best available wide receiver on the board without going to, Mahomes +3 with Worthy. I think that's kind of one of those spots where I also want to get different. So, yeah, fun little draft, and definitely take advantage of these while we can, because one of the best slates of the week. But I put the Black Friday 2025 link in the video description. That's the promo code you will want to use at checkout. And then the link to sign up is in the video description. If you like these breakdowns, let me know. Hit that like button. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. A lot more content coming your way for the NFL main slate. And thanks for joining me for another Battle Royale first look. We will see y'all next week. Take care, everyone.